Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and this is a space where women who value achievement, success, accomplishment, and wealth, but also crave happiness, love, joy, and deep fulfillment come to remember that we get to have both. Not by doing more, but by being more of who we truly are. In this show, we explore identity, energy, alignment, and embodiment because you didn't come here to follow someone else's rules. You came to right your own. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Uncensored Self Podcast, and I am here to record the show that I was going to record last week when Derek Sobek finally said yes to being a guest on the show. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Derek. I'm hoping that he will come back. It's one of those things that in the moment I was just excited and flowing through it, and then I was like, there's so many questions I should have asked him, and so many things I want to hear from you guys if there's questions you wish I would have asked him, or those types of things I think would be amazing. But I have a really important message to share today, and it's actually, of course, always beautiful that I didn't record it last week because it's been expanding and expanding and expanding in my body. But what we're really going to talk about is changing our relationship with hard work and productivity. Hard work and productivity, like the number of women who are in my inbox or my clients or, even patterns I noticed in myself over the years, obsessed with being productive and obsessed with this idea of how hard they're working. And it's really just fucking with your vibe. Let's be real honest. But I want to say where this became really, really clear to me. So a couple weeks ago, Derek's company does a gala, and it's an awards gala every year. And there's always a presenter that gets up and they speak and they talk about the award and the importance of the award and the merit of the people who were nominated for the award. And it's really beautiful and it feels really good. One of the things I noticed this time, though, was that everybody talked about this role isn't easy and this person worked so hard. And let me tell you the sacrifices this person had made this year, like justifying that the reason why these people were nominated for these roles was because of how hard they worked. Not necessarily how effective they were, right? Not necessarily, let me share with you how amazing the results are. It was, let me tell you how hard this person worked. And again, their company is 80% male, and I'm not judging it in a negative way, but it really just, it works for them. It is what it is. But it brought something up for me. I was like, yeah, it's almost like if we're going to give this award to somebody, we have to, it's hard, right? So what did I learn as somebody in the room? If I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, I have to work really hard. And what does hard work look like? And I asked Derek on the way home, I was like, babe, do you feel like you work hard? And he was like, I don't know, it's kind of and he was like, I mean, I'm good at my job and I'm diligent and I'm intentional, but it's not hard, and to me, the way I see it, it's like Derek works a lot of hours. Like he leaves here at 6:00 in the morning and he comes home, obviously like sometime between 4 and 5 in the afternoon, right? He travels quite a bit. Like he puts in a lot of hours, but he doesn't view his work as hard, right? To him, he works a lot. He puts a lot of energy into it. He puts a lot of passion into it. He puts a lot of attention into it, but he wouldn't tell you that he's working hard, that he's the hardest worker there is. He'll tell you that he's really fucking good at what he does, right? And I was just noticing that. I don't know if it's a difference between men and women or what it was, but even like when these conversations that I'm having with women in my inbox that are telling me like, I want to slow down. Like I hear your message. I listen to your podcast. I see your content, but like, if I stop moving, like I can't sit still for 2 minutes. Like it makes me anxious to not have anything on my calendar. And if I feel like I'm not, like I feel guilty for sitting down and doing nothing. And so it's this obsession with, okay, the message is that hard work and suffering and sacrifice are how I'm going to win the awards. And every time I sit down, I feel guilty because if I'm not maximizing every single minute of every single day, then I'm lazy and I'm a piece of shit. And this is such the brain of a high achieving woman. If I actually sit down and take care of myself, I feel guilty. And we're like, I don't understand why my life is the way that it is. I don't understand why I can't hit every goal I set for myself. I don't understand why I have these challenges in my relationships. I don't understand why I have this fucked up relationship with money. But when it comes to spending 5 minutes with you can't do it, guilty, gotta go serve somebody else. Like loud and fucking clear, babe. Loud and clear. Okay? And also the stories we're telling. So I work with a lot of realtors. It's about, again, 60% of my business is real estate agents. And it's been a hard year. That's the story. Like I was giving a talk in a real estate community, and they were like, "What are you celebrating this year?" And a number of people that were like, "I survived," and I'm like, that the bar is so low that we're celebrating survival. And I know that that's going to trigger the fuck out of you because some of you feel like, Ryan, all I am doing right now is surviving. And I'm here to tell you that that is a choice. Living in survival mode is a choice, but you got to work through this shit, right? Like you can't just listen to this podcast and go along and do the same thing that you've always done, think the thoughts that you've always thought. Like you're going to have to make a change if you want that to change. So this whole idea of like, well, this year was a hard year. Was it? Because some of my clients are having the best years they've ever had. In a real estate group of 350 agents, a real estate team of 350 agents, my clients were number one and number two in volume, number of transactions, and volume in dollars. And do you know what? These women were successful long before they met me. I want to be real clear. I never take credit for anybody's success. But do you know what these two women did this year? These two women, they had fun. They had fun. They enjoyed their success. They didn't just create success to create it. They enjoyed their success. And that's why they had incredible years and they didn't work harder, right? Neither one of you, they will tell you they work a lot. They give a lot of their energy. They're very passionate about what they do, right? They are very passionate about getting their clients results, but they don't work hard, right? They don't suffer and sacrifice. They do the fucking job they signed up to do. And there's a huge difference between those two things. And so I really am going to pull this apart because like every time I hear the word hard, my whole body cringes. Because again, we've been so deeply programmed to believe that hard work is worthiness. Nobody can get up and win an award and be like, this is the easiest year in business I've ever had. Because you know what we really fucking hate? People who have it easy. People who have it easy. We really hate those people. They didn't put in the time. They haven't paid their dues is a message that we're heard. So we're over here saying, I want my business to be easy. But if I were to win the award and say this was the easiest year I ever had, I would be so vilified. Do you see why our energy is split? Do you see why your soul and your body are calling you to this ease and this flow and this magic, and your mind and your memories and your ego are over here being like, but you're not suffering enough for that. That is why you have this push and pull inside of your body. That is why. And we have got to break this apart. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Again, I'm of course so off my notes. I'm like, my notes were so good. Because what I was going to talk about, I told you Derek's gala story, right? The word hard, it's hijacking your identity because again, hard work is honorable. Sacrifice makes me deserving. If I didn't sacrifice enough, I'm not deserving of the success or the award, right? If I suffer enough, I can prove that I'm worth it instead of just, I'm really fucking good at my job. And I did a really good fucking job. And I did the job that you hired me to do. And I actually did it with more ease than I've ever done because it's a great job for me and I'm a really good fit for it and I'm really fucking good at it. So I won the fucking award, right? And then the message in that, like I said, if it's not hard, I don't deserve it. If it came easy, it doesn't count. And if it's easy, I feel like I cheated. That was my whole story with weight loss medication. I wanted to start taking weight loss medication 2 years before I actually did, but I wouldn't do it because it was cheating. It was cheating. And believe me, the people on the internet believe that to be true. Weight loss medication is cheating. Go read the comments. Right? You are fucking lazy. That is the message, right? So the whole world, I'm telling myself I'm lazy, right? The whole world is telling me if I take weight loss medication, I'm lazy. So what's the message? I'm cheating and I'm lazy. But do you know what? I'm cheating and I'm lazy and I'm in a size 10 jeans that I haven't been in since fucking high school. So you can take your cheating and your lazy up your ass because I'm taking better care of my body than I ever have because I cheated and I was lazy. I hope you hear me. I hope you hear the tone of which I am saying this to you today because it's important, right? If it's easy, I cheated. But again, you want the ease. But every time something becomes easy, the whole inner world panics. Because you're like, if I didn't hurt it. So this is what happens. This is what happens, that you sabotage the ease. When it's coming to you easy, you're like, let me go make this harder, right? You complicate simple things when things are simple and easy and complete. You're like, let me add some layers to this. I am the queen of this. Let me tell you, right? You overwork. You work when you don't actually have any work to do because you feel guilty for sitting still. So instead you putz around in front of your fucking computer, right? You inflate productivity. You're like, oh my God, look at everything I got done today. Or worse, you tell everybody who will listen how much you did today. Let me tell you how busy I am. Let me tell you how many holiday parties I've been invited to. Let me tell you how many it's all over social media. Let me tell you my busy schedule. Bitch, you chose that schedule. You chose to say yes to all of those things, right? You did that, but you inflate that productivity. You avoid rest. You avoid it because when I sit still, I have to actually sit with myself and heaven forbid I face myself, right? You feel guilty for receiving support. Somebody does something nice for you and you're like, oh my God, now I have to reciprocate. Now I have to go buy her a gift. Oh, they gifted me something. I have to go gift for them, right? Your identity level programming is what is causing this. This is not a personality flaw. We were taught it was a personality flaw. You just need to get your shit together. You just need to be focused. You just need to be more disciplined. In fact, you actually just need to work harder. This is the identity programming. This is why you say you want something different, but you can't create something different because in your core, you believe all of that. Right? And then let's talk about the cultural conditioning. Let's keep going. So society, again, we distrust ease. We dislike people with trust funds. We dislike people who are born into money. We dislike people who inherited businesses. We dislike people who have husbands who can pay the bills so they can go start a business, and not need it to make money. I have so been guilty of that, right? It's actually Rachel Hollis, and there's a lot of drama around Rachel Hollis. Don't really care about that anymore. But I remember I read her books back in the day, like in my 2019, 2020, when I'm in the beginning of my journey, and I really liked her books. But then she posted something on Instagram once about how she'd been, toiling away at this business for 6 years and it had never turned a profit. And so she was using it as a relatability thing, right? About, again, being willing to put in the time, because again, you got to put in that time if you want your business to be successful. And she's like, I look like an overnight success, but for 6 years. But at the time, I was like, bitch, your husband is an executive at Disney. He has a 7-figure salary. Of course, your business doesn't need to make any money. Don't tell me that you know me, right? Like, that's who I was back in 2019. I want to be real clear. When I talk to you guys, the way that I talk to you, it's not from a place of judgment. It's a place of, I can still feel that in my body when I tap into it. Like, I know that so much. So we totally distrust ease, or we vilify it. We vilify privilege, right? When you were born in this neighborhood, you have this thing. Life was easier for you. And again, I'm not saying that privilege is not a thing. I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that these things don't exist and they aren't societal problems. What I'm saying is that if we vilify that privilege and we say the only reason that person has that thing that they have is because they cheated in some capacity, we cannot be an energetic match to what we want. So this is not about ignoring societal things like privilege and things that exist. This is about understanding that judging someone for their privilege or for their success or for their lack of suffering and sacrifice for what it is they say they want, then you cannot possibly have ease. But our world has taught us that. We shame support systems, right? A woman has a nanny and she's a bad mom. A woman sends her kid to daycare, and why'd she even have those kids, right? Somebody has a house manager come in and help with their cooking and their cleaning and their managing of their schedule, and they're fucking lazy, right? It's just bananas. I want to tell you guys a story. I'm looking at my notes here. There was this woman who, there's a trend on social media right now who's talking about, like, if these are not your circumstances, don't tell me how we have the same 24 hours in every day. And this particular woman was like, if you're not in your late 30s and have 3 kids who play competitive sports and you have a full-time job and your husband runs a business, and don't tell me, that I have time to fit in a workout. We don't have the same 24 hours in every day, right? Like, that was her point. Her point was, don't tell me that because basically the message, I'm assuming, I'm making some assumptions, but this is what we see in the world a lot. Somebody probably on the internet said, we all have the same 24 hours in every day. And if you're choosing to not work out, that's a choice that you're making. And she clearly was triggered by that, because look at my life. I don't have the same 24 hours, but she got roasted in the comments because everyone was like, but you made those choices. You chose to have those kids. Like, you chose to put them in competitive sports. You chose to have a demanding career. Your husband chose to start a business. You made these choices. We all do actually have 24 hours in the day. Do they all look the same? Do they all sound the same? Do they all feel the same? Absolutely not. But to say that it's wrong to say that we all have the same 24 hours in a day when we all do, due to your own choices, like somebody did that to you, all right? Like, do you hear where that judgment comes in our world? So then we're like, fuck, look how busy that lady is, And then, of course, we're comparing our busy to somebody else's busy. Then there's that, right? Then we're like, I work harder than her, and I work harder than her, and I work harder than her. And now society is telling us that we have to work harder, right? One time I had a video, I'm going to say it was like semi-viral back in, I think it was like 21 or 22, where there was this trend where, again, same thing, same 24 hours in a day. And it was Beyonce, and everybody was talking about, like, again, rich people don't have the same 24 hours because they have teams and they have support systems. And because of those teams and support systems, they have more time to do what they do. And so my message was like, why don't we all, instead of judging somebody for having a support system, why don't we build a support system with what we have? And for me, the examples I gave was like working with a neighbor for childcare, right? Or hiring somebody to clean your house, doing grocery delivery, right? I wasn't saying like you should go out and hire an au pair and a house manager and a landscaper, right? Like, I was giving examples that were relevant to my life at the time. And again, probably upper middle class, but I mean, I got roasted. It was about how privileged and tone deaf I was to expect people to find support, because support was only for rich people. And I was like, oh, yeah, right. And rich people are bad. Remember, rich people are bad, because if you're too rich and it's too easy and you have too much support, you're cheating. And then you, my darling love, your soul is dying on the inside because all you want is that support, but you don't want to be one of those rich people that they all hate, right? It's such a fucking mind fuck, right? All of these examples reinforce the same unconscious message. If it's easy for you, we don't trust you. And quite frankly, you shouldn't trust yourself either. Of course, this is uncomfortable. Okay, let's talk about our rest problem. Okay, lovelies, this is why rest feels impossible. Your nervous system is living in survival mode. You can't rest because, again, you're working harder and harder and harder to prove your worthiness and your deservingness and to keep up with everybody, because if it were easy, we would hate you. And now your nervous system doesn't know how to slow down, because your survival mode has taught your body that constant vigilance is safety. I have to keep all of the plates in the air spinning all of the time perfectly because everybody is watching. And if I'm not paying attention to all of the details and I drop a plate, they will hate me or they won't like me or it will all fall apart, right? And then it's secure when we're doing. If I'm doing everything, if I'm touching everything and fixing everything and I've got my hands in everything, I feel safe because I have some illusion of control, right? So then obviously slowing down is danger. When you go back to like how we are wired, our human animal is what Alison Armstrong, and you think of like caveman days and the evolution of the human and what we looked like slowing down and being left out from the tribe was danger, right? Like our bodies are coded for safety. And so our brains are coded for safety. So if this whole time constant vigilance is what we have determined keeps us safe, when we go to try to slow down, it does feel dangerous. I'm going to get eaten by a tiger. I'm going to get left out of the tribe. I'm going to be voted out. If I'm left out here by myself, I will not survive, right? Because in caveman days, being left out there by yourself legitimately meant that you could not survive. You would die. And there's a part of that in our human, right? In our programming, in our DNA, not in our spirit, not in our soul, not in our like conscious choice maker, but in like how we're coded. That lives in there. And so I think the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to fucking let go of the judgment, right? You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just coded for something else and it can be recoded, okay? Because your body quite literally thinks that rest is a threat. And that is why, actually, when you sit still, your mind races because it's looking for a threat. And then you feel like you're falling behind because you took a nap, right? And now rest is laziness. If I'm not out there working as hard as everybody else is working, I'm lazy, right? And then again, you feel guilty for not being productive. Again, this is not a mindset issue. It's psychological adaptation, and understanding it and doing something to fucking fix it is what's really important here. So I'm going to give you some action items at the end of this about how it's showing up and how to reprogram it. I'm going to give you some nervous system regulation tools, but that is actually why when you go to slow down or you go to rest or you go to try to, make some white space in your calendar or do something different or make space for something you want to do, it's literally, physiological is how your body is responding. But again, we can totally recode that. I'm going to tell you how. So then we're going to talk about why productivity feels like self-worth, right? Again, your worth got tied to effort, not existent. I talk about this all the time, and this starts when we're little. And I'm actually really mindful of this with my kids, but like we were praised for being helpful. Like, oh, you're such a good little helper, right? Like you're praised for being hard work. I really appreciate your hard work on that drawing, right? Praised for being high achieving. Oh, you're in the top 3% of your class, right? Praised for being responsible. I love when you take good care of your things, right? Like you're the kid that we always go to solve all the problems, right? Like if that was your childhood or you're doing that to your kids, that is why productivity feels like self-worth. And again, no shade to our parents. They were doing the best they could with what they have. But if those were the messages that you grew up hearing, then yes, of course, your self-worth is for being helpful, right? That's where your self-worth is wrapped up, because your brain learned I am valuable when I produce, and then I'm valuable when I'm sacrifice, and I'm valuable when I struggle. And then we take those set of beliefs and we took them into our careers, into our businesses, into whatever you chose. And so now you have the same thing where you're like, okay, I was as a child, I was praised for being helpful, hardworking, high achieving, responsible, and the one that everybody could count on. So I'm going to go do that in my job. And you're looking for that validation that we got from our parents or whomever, right? The school system, whatever it was. We're looking for that same validation from our jobs, from our bosses, from our colleagues, from our clients. So of course we fucking push and we grind and we stay busy and we overfunction because you collapse your identity into doing, right? Like you're no longer an individual, a person with ideas and interests and things. You're just a human doing. I just do all the things. And again, this is not your fault. You can hear how it is programmed into you. But that is why you have that. Like if you were raised in that capacity, or even in your career, maybe you weren't raised that way as a child, but that is what you've learned in your industry or the career path you've chosen, you can absolutely see why this is coming up for you. Okay? So how does this show up in your life today? Like I said, women come to me every day saying, I'm doing everything I know how to do, and I still don't see the results. Like, what the fuck? Right? The questions are, why can't I rest? Right? Like every time I try to slow down, I panic and then I just make it worse. Right? Another question is always like, how long is this going to take? When do I get to have what I want? Like, how long do I have to operate at this pace? And all three questions are rooted in the exact same wound, excuse, if you will. What you're asking is, when do I finally get to feel worthy? When do I get to stop earning my right to exist? Because when you don't believe that ease is safe, you will make everything harder than it needs to be. Because your nervous system thinks that easy is not safe. So everything is hard. So the fact that you make everything hard actually, to me, shows me how fucking capable you really are. Okay? So I'm going to tell you how to reprogram this. This is the 4-step process I use with my clients. I don't really like processes, but I think your brain needs it right now, so I'm giving it to you. I am appealing to your healthy masculine energy right now, because the first one is the awareness. Right? You have to be aware and you have to own it. And I want to be real clear. I'm not asking you to take blame. I'm asking you to take ownership. Ownership of the idea of, this is the way that I have always operated. And I operated that way because it got me results. I operated that way. Like I'm going to give you a specific example here. I talk a lot about, my ex-husband, and I'm sorry. I just left out the windows and there's like a storm rolling out, and I wish you could see the clouds. Like, they're incredible. They look like spring clouds, and it's December. Kind of took my breath away for a moment. It's incredible. And we're back. That was my ADHD brain. Did you feel it? Did you hear it? Right? But I take a lot of ownership. So my ex-husband and I, he was exactly who I needed him and wanted him to be. Like, he was playing the role that I needed him to play when we met, right? It was as I evolved and changed, that no longer met my needs. But I'm owning that. It's not, you suck. You didn't do, like, I changed. I grew. I started learning. I started looking at the world differently. I started changing my perspective. I started, again, wanting life to be easy and asking for support. Like, I want something different. And so I have to take ownership that if I want something different and my partner can't, won't, doesn't, whatever, match that, then I have to own my part in that. It's not, oh my God, he's a horrible human and he sucks at life and how dare he not do, no. I knew who I was. I knew what I wanted and needed, and it worked until it didn't anymore. And I can take ownership of that. So, like, the first step of this problem is you have to be aware. Like, the reason why everybody fucking depends on me is because I step in to save them. You have to be aware of that, and you have to own that, right? Like, the reason why everybody always asks me to do everything is because I always say yes. You have to own that, right? The reason why everybody thinks that I have so much capacity is because I keep volunteering for shit I don't want to do. The reason why I keep getting invited to these parties I don't want to go to is because I keep saying yes and I keep showing up. Like, you have to be aware that the reason why, right? Like, I have to be aware that the reason why I am juggling all the plates and spinning them perfectly is because I'm afraid that people won't like me if I drop this plate, or if I fuck up, or if I say no. You have to take ownership of it if you ever want to change it. And I tell you, this is the hardest part. This is the hardest part of this process, is looking yourself in the motherfucking mirror and saying, it's me. It's me. And your ego does not want that, because, again, your brain wants to be safe. And you have done everything right. And you have everything you're supposed to want. What do you mean? Right? That's what's going on in your body right now. I say it so well. So we have to own it. We have to be aware, and we have to own it. Right? That's the first step of the process. Then from there, we have to regulate your nervous system. This is not optional. You're going to tell me, I don't have time. I don't know how to do this. I can't sit still. I'm not in shape. I can't do that thing. This is hard for me. Don't care. Right? If you would like a change, you are going to figure out how to regulate your nervous system. If you don't, you won't. Right? So for me, what was really helpful when I was at the height of my masculine energy, at the height of my chaotic life, I started walking without headphones. That was it. Walking without headphones pretty much every day. Walking without headphones is the number one way to regulate your nervous system. To actually, bonus if you can get outside. I know it's December, but bundle up, get a nice coat, go the fuck outside, right? Like, being one with nature, observing what's going on without you, moving your body in rhythmic ways is an excellent way to get out of your head and into your body, right? For me, like, I started early on, I was labeling things as I was walking through my neighborhood. Like, that's how I was getting out of my brain. Like, there's a car, there's a house, I love those flowers, like, I like that color, oh my gosh, they got this thing. Like, just noticing what was around me. That is the first and best thing. And guys, I still do this every single day, even when it's cold. right? I do it. So walking without headphones. The second thing that I advocate for is breath work. Go to YouTube, search Breathe with Sandy. He has hundreds and hundreds of videos, everything from like 5 minutes in length to hours long. Breath work changed my life. I am such a huge champion. Again, it is something I do every day, even if it's for like 5 minutes while I breathe and do box breathing while I do my makeup in the morning. Like getting in touch with your breath and with your body, again, gets you out of your head and into your body. That's what nervous system regulation is, right? We're not just reacting automatically, right? We're not just in our mind all the time. We're in our body and we're choosing our responses. And so breath work is really great for that. It's great for presence. It's also great for release. It's all like if you have been avoiding your emotions and your feelings for a very, very, very long time, which you probably have been, there's some really good longer breathwork journeys that you can work up to, right? Don't start with the 60-minute breathwork journey if you've never done a 3-minute breathwork journey, right? But I believe, a lot of my healing work in those longer journeys once I had, gotten really comfortable with the shorter ones. Because again, oxygenating your body really intentionally for a long time actually does change your state of consciousness. Like they say, it like you helps your body release DMT, which is what I believe is it an LSD or magic mushrooms? But either way, like you can get high on your own supply, right? Like it's meant to induce higher levels of consciousness, which can sometimes release stuck emotions and things like that. So I'm a huge breathwork fan. Derek and I breathe together. It's one of my favorite things we do. We make pallets on the floor and we put our masks on, and I light incense and a candle, and we try to do like a 30 to 60 minute. It's part of our date night, at least in the winter. We don't always do it in the summer because we're on the motorcycle. But it's a really great way to connect. My kids do breath work. It's just part of our life, every single time. That's why we tell people when they're anxious or they're overwhelmed, like breathe, right? Like breathe. That's the point, right? Breathing is what gets you out of fight or flight. That is the fucking point. So breath work is so powerful. I've really been lately loving stretching and gentle movement. This is very new, but it feels really profound. So, I tried yoga. I took a couple yoga classes on the Peloton app and I didn't love it, but there's this stretching section where you could do like 10 to 30-minute stretches. And I'm actually really loving it. And again, it's a mind-body connection. It's active. It feels good. It's good for longevity. It's good for long mobility, but it's also good for connecting with your body, right? Like I found tension in my body I didn't know that I had because I wasn't stretching consistently. So there's so many benefits to that, but it's a really good one. And then, again, the point of these tools is to retrain your body to believe that safety exists in stillness, right? It's teaching your body that it is safe to slow down really intentionally, right? So first thing we're going to do, awareness and ownership. The second thing we're going to do, regulate our nervous system. And then we're going to rewrite the story, right? Ask yourself, what meaning am I giving the word hard? What story am I attaching to ease? What am I making productivity say about me? Right? Like really think about that. Am I giving hard? Do I give it a lot of power? Right? Am I attaching to ease? Again, am I judging other people who have it easy? Am I, what stories do I have? What am I making? Again, how much I got done today? Does that make me feel good or bad? Is that the scorecard I'm using? Because we have to shift from I must work hard to deserve it to I create with identity and energy, right? So we've really got to start telling ourselves a different story about what we want, right? And finding those different perspectives. And this is actually a really great part of working with a coach, because sometimes you can't even see and hear the story when you are stuck in it, right? Like you don't even realize what the story is because you've said it so many times that it feels true. So this is a really powerful one. And then the fourth part is the identity work, right? The identity work. Your identity is the source of your results, who you believe yourself to be. If you believe the person who has to do everything for everybody and they're all going to die without you, then that is exactly the life that you are going to create. But if you believe yourself to be the person who creates incredible things easily and effortlessly and shows up powerfully for her clients and serves people well and takes good care of herself, that's exactly what you're going to get, right? If you believe you're the person who struggles, you will struggle. If you believe that you're the creator, your actions are going to shift. Your energy is going to shift. Your beliefs shift, right? And your identity is your thoughts and your feelings and your actions, right? Like the identity, how does she think, right? How does she feel? How does she show up? And that's what's creating your results, okay? Identity work. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a victim, or do you see yourself as the person creating a reality? Do you see yourself as a newbie who's inexperienced and nobody's going to hire? Well, that's what's going to happen, right? Right. So we have to take awareness and ownership. Right? We have to own our role if we want to change it. We have to regulate your nervous system. I do not believe you get to skip this step. You have to start telling a different story. And if you don't know what that story is, or you're so stuck in it, this is where coaching and mentorship comes into play. And then you got to get to work at the identity, right? The identity is the source of your results, who you believe yourself to be, the results you believe you are worthy of, the results that you expect are what you're going to get over and over and over again. Okay. Here's the deal. You've listened to this, right? We're somewhere around 29, 30-ish minutes in, right? I want to invite you to do something with this episode. Don't just listen to it and say, when I slow down. Don't just put it away and share it with all your friends and tell everybody how amazing it is. And don't do any of the things in the episode, right? Like, you're wasting your fucking energy. I know I'm not supposed to tell you that, right? But it's true. And I know that you're doing that, or some of you are doing that, or maybe you're not doing it intentionally or consciously, but it feels good, right? You get the dopamine hit of like, listen to this podcast, and it was so great, it was so helpful. And then I call my best friend and I complain about how, these people fucked me over and this guy's a total asshole and this client is treating me like shit. And you're like, that stuff doesn't work, right? Like, do the work, do the fucking work of actually facing yourself. You're so good at doing the work that everybody else needs from you. You're so good at working hard on the things outside of you. What if you took that level of intensity and that level of energy and you put it back inside of yourself? What would your life would be unbelievable, right? You can't see your own programming alone. So I want to invite you into a conversation. There's a lot of ways to work with me. I just created a brand new one-on-one private sessions called Create 2026 that I'm gifting 30 at an extremely low rate of $197, where I'm going to give you my Create 2026 workbook and my teaching on how to use that workbook. And we're going to have a private call together, and we're going to change your fucking life in 2026. That's the call to action here. If you want to do something with this podcast and not just listen to it, if you want next year to be different, if you want to see the world differently, if you want to finally figure out why you keep every single year facing the same bullshit challenges, the bank account might go up and down a little bit, right? But at the end of the day, you still don't feel like you are living your full potential. I want you to book a Create 2026 session. It's only $197. Guys, it's $197 for a 60-minute call with me. But it's my gift. I feel so passionate about this right now that I think that we can really change the world in a powerful way. So go to the link in the show notes, book a call. It's $197. You get the workbook, you get the teaching, and you get the private call with me. And like I said, let that be the action that you take from this fucking call, instead of just listening to another podcast and being like, yes, 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 and then going back to doing the same fucking thing over and over and over again. And I don't say that from judgment. I don't say that from shame. I say that from real life, lived fucking experience. The number of books and podcasts and information and things that I knew, but still repeated the same cycle year after year after year, is very real. So I don't come to you from judgment. I come to you from compassionate understanding. It's time to stop fucking doing that to yourself. I love you. I hope I get to see you in a Create 2026 session, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If this conversation cracked something open for you, trust that that's the work. And share this episode with a woman in your life who's ready to stop performing and start creating. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It helps this message reach the women who need it most. Remember, you're the creator. The rules are yours. And your uncensored self, she already knows what to do. Keep leading, keep listening, keep becoming.